All right. Thanks so much for joining us. Once again, on the bright side, I want to say a couple more things about gelatin. We're talking about connective tissue. And by the way, I have a blog post up at pharmacistben.com where I've listed some of my favorite anyway, nutritional supplements for helping deal with connective tissue disease, connective tissue disorders. Connective tissue makes up the large bulk of the body. Connective tissue is the most abundant tissue in all of biology, on the whole planet, really. Connective tissue is the most abundant biological substance. So knowing how to work with this stuff is very important. Check out my blog post on pharmacistben.com, and you can see the top 12, or my top 12, nutritional supplements for addressing connective tissue disorders and connective tissue building. So we've been talking about gelatin. We've been talking about glycine. I want to finish up a few loose ends with gelatin and glycine. Then we're going to continue talking a little bit, at least finish up a little bit, with sulfur, which is one of the big 6 elements in the body and certainly one of the most important elements when it comes to building connective tissue. And then I want to start talking about fatty nutrients. We haven't really talked about fatty vitamins, vitamins D and A especially, but also vitamin K and to a certain extent vitamin E. As far as connective tissue building goes, we haven't really talked about these vitamins at all very much. But when we're finished talking about sulfur here in the next day or two, we're going to start talking about some of these fatty vitamins for building connective tissue. All right, so connective tissue forms the bulk of the body along with 3 other tissue systems: nervous tissue, muscle tissue, and what is called epithelial tissue, which is your skin and your glands and surfaces of the body, surfaces of organs and various structures in the body. One of the best ways to make sure your connective tissue is strong and it's healthy is to make sure you're eating connective tissue, eating the raw materials that make connective tissue. And if you're a vegetarian, that means you're going to have a little bit of a problem, because when you're eating connective tissue, obviously you're going to be eating animal foods because there's no connective tissue in plants. So how do you eat connective tissue? How do you eat connective tissue raw materials? Well, one way is by eating animal protein, which tends to be rich in the major amino acids. The major amino acids, i.e. the building blocks of connective tissue: proline, lysine, and glycine. So these are going to be in your high protein foods: meat, seafood, eggs, dairy. If you're a vegetarian, vegan or vegetarian, you're going to need beans and legumes. They're still not great sources, but they're the best you could do if you're not eating meat or animal products. If you want to build connective tissue, creatine supplementation may help as well. Although your body can make creatine, supplementing with creatine is a great way to get yourself the raw materials for connective tissue building. You don't have to be a bodybuilder, you don't have to be an athlete, you don't have to be lifting weights to benefit from creatine. If you're recovering from surgery, if you have heart disease, if you're interested in improving brain or nerve function, or if you just want to build connective tissue, creatine is a great supplement, and a very underappreciated one at that. Creatine is a tripeptide. That means it's made up of 3 parts, tripeptide, 3 amino acids. It's made up of arginine. We talked about arginine a little bit in the past. Arginine is nature and biology's best source of nitrogen, the key element in anabolism. Anabolism is just a fancy way of saying bodybuilding. Arginine is the key amino acid for nitrogen, and nitrogen is the key element for bodybuilding and building connective tissue. The second amino acid in creatine is something called methionine. Methionine is one of the quintessential animal amino acids. It's found in eggs, it's found in dairy, it's found in meat, it's found in seafood. Methionine is one of nature's best sources of sulfur for creating connective tissue firmness. So when you take in creatine, you're going to get arginine for nitrogen, you're going to get methionine for sulfur, and then you're going to get the third amino acid component of creatine, which is glycine. And as I've been saying for the last week or so, one of, if not my favorite amino acids, glycine. It's got so many wonderful properties. And also, like creatine, it's very underappreciated. Glycine is what gives connective tissue its fibery, steel-like strength. But glycine is much more than just a building substance. It's also chemically active. It has relaxing effects. It has antispasmodic effects. Think Parkinson's disease. Think Tourette's syndrome. Think seizure disorders. Glycine used to be used as a treatment for seizures. It's got anti-seizure effects. It's protective against excitotoxins. Folks, this is just a plain old simple amino acid that you can use for its anti-cramping, antispasmodic effects, for protecting you from excitotoxins, and on top of everything else, Glycine stimulates growth hormone. And like methionine, like arginine, like creatine, glycine is largely an animal amino acid. So if you're a vegetarian or if you're a vegan, you're going to have to pay close attention to glycine intake, or you could very likely be deficient in this super fundamental and important amino acid. I didn't even tell you about glycine and bile yet. I didn't even tell you about glycine and detoxification yet. Glycine is one of the most important amino acids for the liver to protect yourself from drugs, from prescription drugs, or protect yourself from alcohol or environmental toxins or heavy metals. And glycine is also a component of bile, so it's important for the digestive system too. So if you're a vegetarian, it's going to be a lot tougher for you to get this stuff. It's an animal amino acid. Make sure you're getting pumpkin, squash, legumes, beans. These are all sources of glycine, but it's still going to be tough for a vegetarian or vegan, in my opinion anyway, to get enough glycine. Supplementation is a good idea, especially if you're a vegan and you're not eating dairy or eggs. If you're not eating meat, of course, or seafood or animal protein, then you especially want to be careful about getting enough glycine and maybe getting 1,000 or 2,000 milligrams a day in a supplemental fashion. Okay, so I want to finish up talking about gelatin. We touched on it a little bit last week. We'll finish up talking about gelatin when we come back from our break and how you can use gelatin to help build connective tissue. I'm Pharmacist Ben. You're listening to The Bright Side. We'll be back right after this. All right, welcome back to The Bright Side. I am Pharmacist Ben. We're here Monday through Friday, 8 to 9 Pacific, 10 to 11 Central, 24/7 on our archive page at brightsideben.com. You can also go to benfuchsarchive.com, and we have all our shows archived and tagged, thanks to my friend Peter in the UK for doing that. You can also check out my blog, pharmacistben.com. I put up a post on connective tissue and my favorite nutritional supplements for dealing with connective tissue. It is not comprehensive. I'll probably have to do a part 2 on that. And I didn't get to talk about autoimmune diseases of connective tissue. A lot of autoimmune diseases affect connective tissue because connective tissue is the source of is the main place where immune cells are active. Immune cells, white blood cells, travel around through the blood, but they do their work in connective tissue. So many autoimmune and many immune disorders take place in connective tissue, and I'll be writing about that and talking about that here in the next few days. I also have, I've been meaning to tell you guys this, I got a whole bunch of these longevity cards that are good for 10% to 85% off of prescription drugs. Now, obviously you guys know I'm not a big believer in using prescription drugs, but if you know somebody who's taking prescription drugs, spending a lot of money using prescription drugs, I got a bunch of cards here. These are longevity, I don't know what they call them, premiums, I guess, giveaways. And each one of these cards is good for 10% to 85% off of a prescription drug. And I got a bunch of these, and they're just sitting around in my office. So if you know anybody on prescription drugs and they're spending a lot of money, or if you're spending a lot of money on prescription drugs and you send me a self-addressed stamped envelope, I will send you back a few of these cards. I'll send 4 or 5 of these cards for every self-addressed stamped envelope that I get. You want to send me a note with a self-addressed stamped envelope, send it to The Bright Side, care of Pharmacist Ben Fuchs, 1750-1 30th Street, number 179, Boulder, Colorado, 80301. That's The Bright Side, care of Pharmacist Ben Fuchs, 1750-1 30th Street, number 179, Boulder, Colorado, 80301. If you send me a self-addressed stamped envelope, I will send by return mail a few of these cards, these 10% to 85% off prescription cards. All right. So, continuing on with connective tissue building, we've been talking about glycine and creatine. Later on here, I'm going to tell you about sulfur, finish up telling you about sulfur. There's a few more things I want to talk about with gelatin. Gelatin is an awesome, underappreciated nutritional supplement. All the supplements that we're talking about here today are very underappreciated. Gelatin is a source of glycine. Gelatin is another word for collagen. When you eat gelatin, you're eating collagen, folks. And eating collagen is one of the best ways that you can help your body build collagen, which is the most important of the proteins, of the substances in connective tissue. Gelatin is a source of glycine. Gelatin is important for skin. For you ladies out there worried about wrinkling, gelatin and collagen supplements can help build connective tissue, which is what breaks down when we have wrinkles and accelerated aging. Gelatin can also be important for bone building. Of course, this whole topic about connective tissue really is about osteoporosis and bone building. So using gelatin to build connective tissue is also a great way to build bone too. Gelatin has a long history of use for cosmetic reasons, for keeping wrinkles away, but not a lot of people recognize the total bodybuilding anabolic properties of gelatin, which, like creatine, is a tripeptide. It's made up of 3 amino acids. Eating gelatin is eating collagen, and that means you're going to be getting glycine as well as the other collagen-building amino acids. Most of the work that was done on gelatin, or a lot of the work, not most of the work, a lot of the research work that's been done on gelatin has been done showing that gelatin improves digestive health and digestive wellness. Gelatin can help with spasms. Gelatin has antacid properties. If you have Crohn's disease or celiac disease or IBS, irritable bowel syndrome, ulcerative colitis, pretty much any digestive health issue can improve with a daily dose of gelatin. A good daily dose of gelatin, and at least the research that's been done on gelatin has been done on a 10% solution. That means about a tablespoon of gelatin per 4 ounces of water. You can do it once a day. A tablespoon and 4 ounces of water is a little over 10%. Drink it down slowly. If you use warm water, it will help the gelatin absorb. Gelatin has a coating quality and a soothing quality on the gut. In addition to helping rebuild the digestive lining, it can coat and soothe the digestive lining as well. The digestive lining, for most of us, gets a lot of abuse, and the digestive lining is constantly repairing itself. Anything you can do to help accelerate the repair of the digestive lining is going to be in your interest, and getting the amino acids from gelatin is a great way to help stimulate the healing and the growth and the regeneration of digestive lining tissue. In fact, a lot of the benefits of bone soup as a soothing food substance for the intestine, for the digestive tract, comes from the gelatin that's dissolved off of the bones. In the category of miscellaneous, you can use gelatin as a protein-rich hair conditioner. Just add some warm water to dissolve the gelatin and then put it in your hair for 15 or 20 minutes and then rinse it out. If you make a concentrated solution of gelatin, you can actually use it as a hair gel, depending on the concentration that you use. And you get your hair pretty stiff with a gelatin hair gel. You can even make a face mask the same way, a gelatin or collagen face mask. Folks pay a lot of money at the salon or at spas to have collagen treatments. Plain old gelatin makes a great collagen treatment for your skin. It's not going to necessarily help you with your collagen if you put it on topically, but what it will do is it can act as a great moisturizer for the skin, help soften the skin. If you mix in a little bit of honey or a little bit of oats or milk in your gelatin, you can get a nice healing mask. It can help you with acne. It can be soothing. It can be relaxing. If you grind up some papaya or pineapple, you can also get some nice exfoliating properties as well. All right, so that's a lot of stuff from plain old simple gelatin. And now I just want to say a couple of things about sulfur. We'll have to finish up sulfur tomorrow. And then we'll continue talking about fat-soluble vitamins for helping build connective tissue. So sulfur is a hardening element. It's electrically active. It's one of the big 6 elements of life. The big 6 elements of life are called the CHNOPS elements, CHNOPS, CHNOPS elements. Carbon, hydrogen, nitrogen, oxygen, phosphorus, and S for sulfur. CHNOPS, CHNOPS, those are the 6 big elements of life. Most of us don't have to worry about carbon, hydrogen, or nitrogen. Oxygen, maybe a little bit because we're not breathing a lot, and phosphorus is in most foods. But sulfur deficiencies are unfortunately becoming more and more common. Because sulfur is so important to biological systems, the way you get sulfur is, at least the best way to get sulfur, is going to be through animal products. Once again, sulfur, bone building and connective tissue building substances like sulfur are animal substances. So animal products are going to be your best sources of sulfur, especially dairy and eggs. But if you're a vegan, or if you don't eat a lot of animal protein, it becomes a little trickier to get sulfur. And this is where deficiencies to this really super important mineral become much more likely. So what do? Well, I'll tell you what. One of my favorite foods for getting sulfur, in fact, one of my favorite all-time foods for everything in the body, is seaweed. eat seaweed. It's a rich source of sulfur. It's a rich source of iodine. It's a rich source of protein, or at least amino acids. It's a rich source of B vitamins. It's a rich source of environmental protecting nutrients. Seaweed is amazing, amazing, amazing stuff, especially if you're a vegan. If I was a vegan, I would be eating seaweed all day long. You can buy it dry at the health food store and crack it over salads and really make your salads much more healthy and nutritious. All right, I'm Pharmacist Ben. We're coming back with your phone calls at 855-660-4261 right after this. Don't go away. Welcome back to the Bright Side. Thank you for joining us, friends. We got a couple of lines open for you at 855-660-4261. Try to get on board early. We'll try to get all our calls today. 855-660-4261. If you want to learn more about the longevity products, head over to brightsideben.com and take a look at our shopping cart with all the longevity products, including my personal favorite, the BTT, Beyond Tangy Tangerine. You'll find all the longevity products that you hear advertised on the Bright Side at brightsideben.com. You can also call the Bright Side Ben phone team at 866-735-2470. Check out my blog, pharmacistben.com. If you have an Android phone, you can also carry the Bright Side with you. Thank you to Ted Anderson at the Genesis Communication Network. You get to download the Bright Side app and carry the Bright Side with you wherever you go. Let's see what else. If you know anybody on prescription drugs, or if you're on prescription drugs and you're spending a lot of money, I don't encourage prescription drugs, obviously. I know too much about them. I know to be able to encourage anybody who uses prescription drugs. But if you are taking prescription drugs, I've got a bunch of coupons for you, save 10 to 85% off of your prescription drugs, and these are good at most drugstores. If you send me a self-addressed stamped envelope to the Bright Side, care of Pharmacist Ben Fuchs, 1750-1 30th Street, number 179, Boulder, Colorado, 80301. I will send you back a couple of these. I'll send you out a few of these 10 to 85% off your prescription drug coupons. Okay, let's see if there's anything else I want to say before we take our phone calls. Tomorrow we'll continue talking about sulfur. I'll tell you about organic sulfur, how you can use sulfur as a nutritional supplement. Sulfur is found in onions and shallots and pretty much all stinky foods. Eggs are a good source of sulfur. Whey is a good source of sulfur. But supplementing with sulfur is always a good idea, and I'll talk about that. I'll tell you how you can get sulfur in supplemental fashion tomorrow as we continue talking about connective tissue diseases and building connective tissue, all as it regards building bone, building connective tissue, building the bone connective tissue if you have osteoporosis. You notice we haven't even mentioned calcium yet, as important as calcium is. All right, 855-660-4261. Marty in Wisconsin. Welcome to the Bright Side. What's going on?
Well, I'm a distributor, and I have a mother and daughter, ages 20 and 40. They're 120 pounds, 130 pounds, and they have excessive facial and body hair. They are on the Mighty 90, been on it for a year, love the product. But what other things could you recommend to help alleviate this?
First of all, you said each one of them was 120, 130 pounds, you said?
One is 120, one is 130 pounds.
How tall?
5'5" and 5'2".
Okay. Excessive body and facial hair are a sign of two hormone systems being messed up. Number one, the insulin hormone system, and number two, the testosterone/estrogen hormone system, and they're kind of related. So the first thing you want to do is treat excessive body and facial hair as a sign that you're getting too much insulin or your body's producing too much insulin. It could be something called insulin growth factor, which is found in dairy, which is related to testosterone, or it could be just eating a lot of sugar and bread and carbohydrates, and based on their height to weight, it sounds like that may be what you're dealing with. How old are these people, by the way?
20 and 40.
Any issues with the periods or menstrual cycles, do you know?
Oh, well, I'll tell you what. Terrible cramping, terrible bleeding.
Both? After
a couple of weeks on the Mighty 90, the problem rectified itself. It was amazing.
That's awesome. Yes. Now, you're talking about both these people?
Correct. The mother and daughter had the same period problem.
Okay,
And the
you're
Mighty
dealing.
90 cleared it up.
Well, yeah, but it cleared up the obvious signs, but they still have
Correct.
other more. They have other excessive body hair is all related to the same thing. These are signs of pre-diabetes. Also, insulin. The first thing you want to do is work with the blood sugar system. So, job number one. Always is focus on digestive health and digestive wellness. The pancreas, which is your major blood sugar metabolizing system, along with the liver, are both digestive structures. So the first thing you want to do for any blood sugar issues, and when you have excessive body hair and facial hair, that's the first thing to think about is blood sugar issues, is work on digestive health and wellness. First of all, have your clients notice when they have bloating or discomfort from the digestive health discomfort, diarrhea, constipation, loose stools, the usual stuff, heartburn, cramping or bloating in the gut. And then link those up to foods and then eliminate those foods. Secondly, probiotics. If they're not on the nightly essence from Youngevity, get them on the nightly essence as soon as you can. 80 billion units a day. So you're eliminating problem foods, you're getting them on the nightly essence. You may want to try something like, if there's significant digestive health issues, you may want to try something like the noni juice or perhaps the glucogel caps or the Z-Radical, all of which can have a nice coating and soothing effect on the digestive system. Gelatin, bone soup as well can have a nice coating and soothing effect on the digestive system. So first and foremost, focus on digestive health, eliminate problem foods, use nutritional supplements that support digestive wellness, bone soup and probiotics, things that help rebuild the digestive lining. The next thing you want to do is work directly on the blood sugar system. Is this making sense, by the way, Marty? For the talking about excessive hair, excessive body hair, and facial hair. Focusing on the digestive system first, and then blood sugar second. Am I making sense so far, Marty?
Oh, yes, pal. I've listened to you for a long time. I kind of thought we'd work with that.
You probably knew what I was going to say, but we'll just continue anyway. There's more. There's more. Go ahead. There's a few more things that I want to tell you, and we have a lot of new listeners also, so this might help other folks too. Digestive health first. So the next thing is going to be blood sugar system. How do you do that? Well, the most important thing for the blood sugar system is starting to wean yourself away from foods that spike insulin. These are fast-burning carbohydrate foods. Refined and processed foods are clearly a problem. Breads, pastas, cereals, power bars, fruit juices. These are all problematic for the blood sugar system. But sometimes we don't realize that potatoes and oatmeal can also be problems. We're conditioned to think that so-called whole grains are good foods, but they can be foods that mess up the blood sugar system, especially to people who are sensitive, like it sounds like your friends are. So weaning yourself off of those foods, and then this is very important now. You can't just say, I'm not going to eat bread anymore. You gotta replace the calories that you're deriving from bread and cereal and pasta and fruit juice with protein. You can't, it's almost impossible just to stop eating this stuff without replacing the calories from protein. On the other hand, once you start to get in enough protein, it's going to be much easier to keep yourself off of these insulin-spiking foods. Whey protein's the best, egg protein will work, but really any protein. If they're not vegan or vegetarian, seafood is going to be a real good source of protein to help get them away from the blood sugar spiking foods and the insulin spiking foods. Then using nutrition to support the blood sugar system, and there's a zillion nutrients you can use for that. The B vitamins are probably the most important, especially vitamin B3, niacin, and vitamin B1 thiamine. B3 is part of something called the glucose tolerance factor, the GTF, which helps insulin do its work. It's sugar metabolizing work. Using the B complex to support the GTF, the glucose tolerance factor, will mean your body doesn't have to pump out as much insulin, so you don't have to worry about insulin resistance. Hang tight, Marty. There's a bunch more I want to tell you. I'm Pharmacist Ben. You're listening to The Bright Side. We have a couple lines open for you at 855-660-4261. We'll be back right after this with more good health information. Don't go away.
From our family to yours, have a very Merry Christmas. We are the Genesis Communications Network, GCN.
We are back on the bright side. I am Pharmacist Ben. Tomorrow we're going to talk to Ty Bollinger about his book, Cancer Step Outside the Box, which I've been recommending for many years now. It turns out Ty's a great guy, and I've been spending some time with him on the telephone and met him at the Health Freedom Expo, and Ty will be talking about some of his ideas about cancer. And his book, Cancer Step Outside the Box, if you know anybody with cancer or you're dealing with cancer, you're going to want to tune into the bright side tomorrow. 855-660-4261 is our number. We're talking to Marty in Wisconsin. Are you there, ma'am?
Yes, I am.
So you're already a longevity distributor, you were saying?
Yep.
Good deal. Okay, so for excessive body hair and facial hair, you want to treat it as a sign that, number one, blood sugar is starting to get messed up, and number two, the male-female reproductive hormone systems are getting messed up, and that usually means adrenal gland or, for women, ovarian issues as well. So finishing up with the whole blood sugar thing, thiamine and niacin, two of the most important vitamins for dealing with blood sugar. Biotin, another B vitamin for dealing with blood sugar. The Beyond Tangy Tangerine is a great source of all of these. Thiamine, by the way, is a really neat B vitamin that we haven't talked a lot about. You know, you can use thiamine for mosquito repellent. If you take in a lot of thiamine or a lot of B vitamins, or you use thiamine topically, you can actually use it to repel mosquitoes. Mosquitoes hate, for one reason or another, mosquitoes seem to hate thiamine. Zinc is very important for the blood sugar system, and zinc is also important for the hormone system, the male-female reproductive hormone, so you can get a kind of double effect there. 50 milligrams of zinc picolinate a day. Alpha-lipoic acid is important for the blood sugar system. The amino acids taurine and arginine are also important for blood sugar. And then the B vitamin-like substance, choline, is also important. So there's lots more, but that's a great place for you to start. Use chromium vanadium also. Get your clients on the Sweet Ease product from Longevity, which is a good source of chromium and vanadium, both of which can help the body process sugar as well as fat. Then dealing with the male-female reproductive hormones, you may want to try progesterone cream, which sometimes can have a nice balancing effect. Progesterone cream, 5% or 10%. You'll have to have a pharmacist make that for you. And then also zinc, as we said before, can be helpful. Vitamin C is also important. Vitamin C for helping with the liver, helping the liver process hormones. Vitamin C is also important for the adrenal glands. Iodine is important for adrenal hormones. And then making sure that your clients are getting enough salt and enough minerals. The Mighty 90 is a great start. And then also there's the Cherry Mints or the Ultimate Classic, which are good sources of minerals. Salt water, I like Celtic sea salt. Put a little bit of Celtic sea salt in water. You can drink that down. That can also help with the adrenal glands. And then the mineral magnesium is also very important for all hormonal issues and also very important for the adrenal glands as well. See, and magnesium is also important for blood sugar too. Turns out, interestingly enough, nutrients that help you with blood sugar very often will have a nice beneficial effect when it comes to helping stabilize reproductive hormones, testosterone and estrogen and progesterone. And you want to regard excessive body hair and facial hair as signs that your testosterone and estrogen may be off, that insulin and blood sugar may be off, and it may also be, for younger clients anyway, a sign of something called PCOS, polycystic ovarian syndrome. Is the gal broken out, the younger gal broken out by any chance? Does she have acne or blemishes?
Oh, both of them do not have very good facial skin at all.
Yeah, it's all the same deal. I'm almost positive the way you're describing this, that they're dealing with polycystic ovarian syndrome, PCOS, and everything I just told you about not only is going to help them with the body hair and the facial hair, but it'll also help them with their skin, it'll help them with their periods, and it'll improve their prognosis in terms of long-term health, and it'll also improve their longevity as well. All right, is that helpful, ma'am? Sure, you can ask.
Very excellent. Can I just ask one thing? If you had mentioned Z Radical, if they already purchased Fucoid Z, would the Fucoid Z be interchangeable for the Z Radical?
Tell me about Fucoid Z. You're telling me something. I don't even know what that is. Is that a longevity product?
Yeah, I mean, you guys sell it. Yeah.
Longevity sells over 400 products. I don't know them all. I just know the ones I like. Fucoid Z. Is it made by the same people that make the? I should probably look into it. Is it the same folks that make the Z Radical make the Fucoid Z?
Oh, I don't know about that. See, because they listen to you also, the doctors and whatnot, and they just thought this might be helpful.
Oh, you know what? The Fucoid Z is a capsule version. That's what is the capsule version. The Z radical is the liquid version. They're both fucoidin. Fucoidin is a sugar-like substance. It's not a sugar like a sweet sugar. It's a polysaccharide sugar. It exists as a polysaccharide. It's called an essential sugar. One of these days I should probably talk about essential sugars. Anyway, fucoidin is a sugar-like molecule. It's found in all sea vegetables and seaweed. The Z radical is made with brown seaweed. And these fucoidins have some tremendous properties. I'm going to talk a little bit about them tomorrow. They're sources of sulfur, so they accelerate the healing process. And they also have an immune-boosting quality as well. So for digestive wellness, they're really helpful. And actually for all immune system building reasons, they're very helpful. But for the digestive tract, that's really where these things excel. These fucoidin-like molecules excel. And they don't get a lot of mileage. People don't talk about them a lot for the digestive system, but you can get some really nice digestive benefits from either the Fucoid Z or the Z radical. They're the same. The Fucoid Z is just the capsule version. If they're going to do, Marty, if they're going to do the Fucoid Z in a capsule, make sure they're drinking a lot of water with it to help hydrate that sugar, so it can do its digestive tract coating effects a little bit more efficiently and effectively. Does that make sense, ma'am?
Yep.
Okay, good deal.
Yes,
anything else you want to ask?
Yeah, when I get off the phone, I'll have a lot of questions. But right now,
no problem. You call back tomorrow, or you can always send me an email, ben@ksco.com.
Okay, thank you very much for your time.
God bless. Thank you so much.
Okay, bye.
All right, have a beautiful day. That's Marty from Wisconsin. Okay, let's see. Got a couple minutes to talk to you if you want to get on board, 855-660-4261. If you want to send me a note, you can send it to ben@ksco.com. But I got to tell you, I get lots of these notes. You can also send a note to pharmacistben.com. And I try to get back to as many of you guys as I can. Please put your phone number on your emails, especially at pharmacistben.com. Put your phone number on there because it's much easier for me to get a hold of you by telephone than it is for me to communicate with you by telephone than it is for me to try to answer everybody's emails. It would take me forever if I was just trying to answer emails. I got a note here from, let's see, who wrote this? Simca. Simca wrote me a note wants to know about Carnivora, which is a anti-cancer nutritional supplement that comes from Venus flytrap. I'm going to let Ty tomorrow talk about Carnivora. That's something Ty Bollinger knows a little bit about, and we will be talking to Ty Bollinger about his book, Cancer Step Outside the Box, tomorrow, and I'll make sure that I ask him about Carnivora as well. If you're dealing with a connective tissue disorder, if you're dealing with any kind of autoimmune disease of connective tissue, or if you have rheumatoid arthritis or osteoarthritis, or if you're just prematurely aging, you can go over to brightsideben.com. I have a post up about connective tissue diseases and my top 12 nutritional supplements for dealing with connective tissue diseases. Connective tissue, as we've been saying, makes up the bulk of the body. So many health disorders, as well as just plain old accelerated aging, wrinkles and such, have a connective tissue basis. And understanding how to use nutritional supplements for connective tissue is extremely important. Check out my blog post, pharmacistben.com, about connective tissue and connective tissue supplements, my top 12 connective tissue supplements, one of which, of course, is sulfur. Tomorrow, we'll be talking about how you can get sulfur, in addition to using food sources of sulfur and sulfur-containing amino acids and sulfur-containing supplements like creatine and like gelatin. There's a wonderful source of sulfur, organic sulfur, that was all the rage maybe 10 years ago, 10, 15 years ago, but you don't hear a lot about it anymore. It's a super important nutritional supplement for skin, for hair, for nails. It works in conjunction with the B vitamins. A lot of you guys know what it is, and as I was saying, it was a very popular nutritional supplement maybe 10 or 15 years ago, although you don't hear a lot about it. It is a very inexpensive nutritional supplement. I personally take 2 or 3 grams of this stuff every day, and I recommend everybody takes at least 1 gram of it a day, especially if you're worried about getting wrinkles and your appearance. And that's one of the most interesting things about connective tissue pathology. There is a vanity component to connective tissue breakdown and connective tissue pathology, in the sense that when connective tissue breaks down, we look like crap. In fact, many of the signs of aging, many of the wrinkling and shrinking and shriveling up effects that we associate with getting older and that we associate with aging are nothing more than signs that connective tissue is being broken down and not being rebuilt effectively. And of course, using nutritional supplements to help generate that connective tissue is one of your best anti-aging and connective tissue building strategies. All right, tomorrow we'll continue talking about building connective tissue, and I'll tell you what this super supplement is, inexpensive supplement is that everybody should be taking. Whether or not you're dealing with connective tissue disorders, even if you just want to look better, we'll talk about that tomorrow as we continue on the bright side, talking about osteoporosis and rebuilding connective tissue. Check out my blog, pharmacistben.com, or my website, brightsideben.com. I'm Pharmacist Ben. You've been listening to The Bright Side. We'll talk to y'all later, folks. Bye for now.